I think it is very, very important that we step into this vigorously. And the reason why is because you represent, ostensibly, the most young, most fit, most resilient population in the Army. I mean, you're all Army officer candidates, right? So you already are at a peak level of physical fitness or you wouldn't be in the program. Most of you are young, all of you are young compared to me. Most of you are young though, you're in your 20s, and you're very resilient. Your bodies still heal, your bodies are still doing the things that a 20-year-old's bodies do, which is great. You can go out there and stress them a little bit harder than us older folks can, and you don't pay the price the next morning. So I wanted us to try this so that we could set a baseline for two reasons. Number one, so we go back to the Army and say we think you've got the scoring right or wrong. And number two, because for many of you, where are my twos at? Any twos in here? Threes? This will be the only PT test you ever take for record. Right? The threes will probably they'll get an iteration at camp of the APFT. And then by the next year's camp, we'll probably run APFT one more time. And that'll be it. It'll go away. So I want you doing cross-functional fitness now. Combat-focused functional fitness now to get yourself, into what it is we need to do for the future. And the ACFT is just a metric, right? It's not about the ACFT per se. It's about a new way of looking at fitness for the Army. Now, most of you are probably looking at fitness the right way because I see lots of lean, muscular bodies here. Everybody looks like they're doing the right thing, right? There's a lot of our population doesn't get that. All these red, green, and yellow stickers on the mess hall chow, right? Picking the right foods, getting rest at night, making sure you're out there doing physical training the way you're supposed to cross-train your body for things that we haven't worried a whole lot about in the past. So we've talked something about strength. We've got a lot of gym rats, right, in the Army. We know we do the endurance thing because we got a lot of people that run. What about flexibility? What about core? Let me tell you what my number one problem is. So I don't run as fast as I used to. I still do okay in the gym because I'm 53. But you know what my number one problem is? Flexibility. And that'll be your number one problem when you're 53 as well. So if you practice now on those skill sets and you build a strong core to go with that, that's going to make you better in the long run. Less injury, more endurance, more resilient. So there's a couple of reasons we're doing it. I'm going to work on getting the resourcing to your program levels so that you can do it well. But in the meantime, there's going to be a little bit of borrowing from the gym or the athletic department. It's going to be a little bit of looking for pull-up bars to do things on. But I want to push this fast so that it is not surprising to you guys when you get to the Army you're having to do it. I want you ready. So I will tell you that I've sat many boards as a general officer. I've sat lieutenant colonel boards, I've sat special mission unit boards, I've sat NCO boards, and I will tell you that the Army's position is if we believe you need to have an advanced degree for promotion, we'll get you one. There are 4-star general officers that we've had in the Army in the not too recent past didn't even have a master's. So having an advanced degree is not necessarily going to be something we look at for promotion. When I sit a board, and I sat the lieutenant colonel's board, I don't know that I even really looked at who had a master's degree. So don't overstate the importance of that. Much more important that you do the Army training that's necessary, that you understand leadership, that you are performing in the jobs that you have well. I would much prefer that you focus on being a good company commander as opposed to trying to get your master's at night and then showing up and kind of half-stepping into company command. That does not serve you well. Not if you want to stay in the Army. But what you're going to find is, as officers, you will have opportunities to go out there and get an advanced degree. For those of you who compete well and are selected for the Command and General Staff College as rising majors, you're going to have a whole year at Fort Leavenworth or another place to go to school about the Army, but you're going to find there are cohort programs that operate with Fort Leavenworth and other schools that will allow you to go and get a master's degree. And it's not that crazy. It won't require that much additional study, but we're going to give you opportunities. So my counsel to you would be, don't get to your platoon and then as soon as you sign in, go, just graduated college in the May, just got my lieutenant bars, let's find a master's program. You don't need to do that right away. Give yourself some time. I would encourage you that one of the strongest skill sets you can build as a new officer is learning when to delegate and then delegate well with the proper amount of supervision. So it's kind of trust and verify, right? You trust your subordinate leaders to do the right thing, but you are there to observe to make sure it's being done to standard. The more power, the more empowerment you give people, the more they will surprise you. And I think that's one of the real gifts of leadership. I think it's important every now and then that you get out there and lead the PT formation. I think it's important every now and then, if you're going to run, that you step out and sing a Jody. I think it's important that you lead from time to time so that your soldiers know that the lieutenant can lead, that the lieutenant understands this, that the lieutenant can march us to the chow hall if he needs to or she needs to. Doesn't mean you need to do it a lot, but every now and then get out there and do it. And when your soldiers are doing something, you do it with them. Get out there and go to the range. Get out there and do PT with them in the morning. Get out there and do the things that are necessary. That will become harder and harder as you get more senior. It will be harder and harder as you get more senior, but you got to do it. It's important. What you're going to find is, as a lieutenant, you will be at the closest point, particularly from an age standpoint with your young soldiers, that you ever will be. You'll be in your 20s. Most of them will be in their late teens to 20s. So you're from the same peer cohort. You just took a different path into the Army. So there's a fine line and there's a nuanced line between being there to connect with your soldiers and making sure you don't cross the line into fraternization, which has frankly become a little bit of a problem in our Army. You've got to make sure that you draw some pretty clear lines about when you can and can't do things. And your units will probably have policies that govern this. Certainly Army policy governs it in AR 600-20. And you can take a look at how much you can do and how much you can't do. But I think you've got to kind of find a way. You'll find out that music, pop culture, those types of things will draw you together because you all grew up at the same time. But as you become more senior, that becomes harder. Staying connected with your soldiers becomes harder. As a lieutenant, I think you'll find that it's not as hard as you think. But it's a great question. And it's one of the things we struggle with a lot in the Army as we're trying to decide how much compassion and camaraderie should I share with my soldiers, and then when do I need to kind of step away and be the authority figure and separate myself from them so they understand very clearly, hey, that wasn't a suggestion. You need to move out on that task. So I think you'll find it's easier than you think. Well, so I think you're going to have the same experience.
Think so?
Yeah, so we're going to do rifle marksmanship. They're just going to shoot a 300-meter pop-up target, and we're going to give them 2 extra days of BRM to do that. You're going to do land nav, so no change there. You're going to do all the tactical tasks in the field for the FTX. Same things. Those, 7 or 9 tasks you do, your ambush, movement to contact, hasty defense, all that stuff. All those things you're going to continue to train to. The only 2 differences it's 3 differences. It's going to be 300-meter pop-up targets instead of 25-meter Alt-C. So that's a little bit different sight picture, and we're going to give you some extra time to do that. We're going to put you on a grenade assault course. And again, you can show up at camp cold on that, and we're going to teach you to do it well. Okay? Where are my 3s at? The ones that are going to camp. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do a 2-person buddy team live fire. And that is something we're going to train you to do because it's important that we train you to do that, okay? And we're going to give you plenty of time to do it. And oh, by the way, while you're doing these, what we consider higher risk events, throwing live grenades, doing live fire online with each other, we're going to keep you in the barracks, let you rest a little bit, let you cool off a little bit so that you are focused like a laser beam on those tasks. So you train them on what your camp experience was, they will be very well prepared.